And here we are again. Today we're flying out the VL Myrsky, or however you want to pronounce that. And you probably clicked on this video because you just started flying it and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? I'm having a hard time getting kills with this thing. And you're probably right, because this thing is the opposite of very good. I understand that a lot of people agree with that, because well, it's an event plane, it shouldn't be busted, it shouldn't be broken, it shouldn't ruin the game, and I agree with that. But this thing is a plane that will basically only win a turn fight versus a MiG-3. The rudder at high speed is horrible. At very low speed with the flaps down, it's actually pretty decent in terms of stall control, but you do have to keep in mind that getting to that point, well, let's just say by the time you reach that speed, the enemy is already on your 6 and probably already shooting at you. At high speed, as I said, the rudder is, well, basically not there, but to add to that, your elevator compresses so badly that it's basically also not there. I've yet to see the overload warning on my screen. I've yet to black out at all, and that's just because it just does not pull enough, and that's a big problem. The guns aren't the best. I do recommend you to run ground belts. The air belts do absolutely nothing. The ground belts, while they're not quite 30mm of the Swedish, they are a lot better than the air targets. The problem with this plane is that it does not have the capabilities to get an energy advantage over the enemy, which is something you will desperately need. And I say that because, well, all the attributes of this plane, not being able to get high speed shots off, not being able to climb very well, and you're not very fast either. So you're basically always in a state where your turn rate is supposed to carry you. The problem is, the biggest weakness of this plane is actually the turn rate. This I-15 here, he's not paying attention. This is gonna be the most boring part of the fucking video. But I put this in anyway because, well, I needed to ramble a little bit without having to talk about the gameplay and being able to talk about the plane itself. And this is the most interesting game I've gotten in this plane. And yes, it's a down tier and you see that right. All the up tiers I've gotten, you get outperformed so badly that it's a matter of team play, that it's a matter of getting lucky, a matter of fighting 2.0 enemies that do not know what they're doing. And even those level 15s get very close to handing me my ass. And that's just because this plane, well, it might be good in a very specific scenario that I am not aware of. In all those other scenarios, it's not very good. And if you are not a very good pilot, you're probably not gonna get a lot of mileage out of this thing. I come in with a lot of speed, the I-16 goes up for me, which means that I can go up as well, bleed my speed, force a low speed fight where he is basically stalled out, and then yes, this plane becomes pretty decent. But any plane that you side climb with, any plane that you have a massive energy advantage in, especially at this tier, is going to be decent. That's just how it is. Unless of course you fight something like a CW21, because then it doesn't really matter how much of an advantage that you have, because what's going to end up happening is he outturns you, he outruns you, and then he outclimbs you as well. So you're basically forced to kill him as he's busy, and if you then mess it up, he can just keep his cursor on you and you are going to die. But to go into the gameplay, I came in with an energy advantage because I went for that I-15 that was all the way on the edge of the map, and now I'm above everyone. And then I can use the one strength of this plane, and that's the retention, as well as the low speed characteristics, because I can now go up, I can make them pull up for me, they will lose speed, I will maintain my speed all day long, and I will be able to boom and zoom them that way. If they keep their altitude as well and I have to come down to them, well, bad news, you are not going to do anything. Even if you get a high speed deflection, you're probably not going to hit it, and when you do hit it, likely you are not actually going to kill him. I-15 pitching up for me, not much of a problem here. He does not have the energy whatsoever because I came in with a lot more. I know there's another I-15 right next to him, but he is presenting himself right now, and I think that I can kill this guy quickly here, maybe get a crit, and then disengage. The other I-15 gets pretty close on me, but it's just an I-15, it's not a Chaika, he only has those PT guns, so I wasn't very much worried of him, and I'm a lot faster. So I wasn't going to be in his guns for very long. Yes, it's risky, that shot could have one-shot me, but with this plane you have to take those risks, because the second you get an opportunity to kill someone, you're probably going to have to take it, because having to, well, fight more than one guy, well, actually fighting one guy is already hard enough. When you're fighting 3 of them, you really want to kill one as quickly as you can. We got the lag tree behind us, he is smoking, he is crit by us from a little bit earlier, so I want to make sure that he doesn't get back to his base, so I'm just going to be turning around now the second he breaks off to go back to his base, make him turn twice, he's going to lose speed, he's going to lose distance from the airfield, and I don't really have to kill him here, I just shoot a few rounds in the head on, I'm dodged, and we are going to disengage in the opposite direction of the Chaika, or not the Chaika, the I-15. I don't have to commit to this, he is dead, he's not going to make it, he's probably going to slam into the hill or a tree right there. but if he doesn't, he will not make the base. And there he goes. And that's going to be kill number 3 or 4. 4. And now we have an I-15, which is an entire BR lower than us, and we have a C Gladiator, I think, on my left, soon to be right. And I notice that this guy is keeping his altitude. So I'm going to be looking at what kind of level he is. He's a level 68, which indicates that he at least has some experience in the game. He might be a tanker, however. And I'm flying like this. I see that he's keeping his altitude. He does not want to commit. So I think, let's take another quick look. Let's see if he's a tanker, if he's actually a jet player, if he's... What kind of experience does he actually have? He doesn't actually seem to be moving, and I see that he plays a lot of planes actually. So we are going to be changing the plan a little bit. And if you are familiar with my content, you know that I kind of try to keep my friendlies away from my kills, because I want to show you how to 1v1 people, how to use your plane. With this thing, that's not going to happen. So instead, we're going to be doing the absolute opposite of what I normally do. And I'm going to dive here. I'm going to pick up some speed. I'm going to be forcing the head on. I'm not going to commit all too hard, but we dodge. I know that he has a very hard time getting guns on me here, and I'm going to be diving out. All I want to do right here is drag this guy down low enough so that he gets caught into the dogfight with that Sea Gladiator. The Sea Gladiator is probably not going to win the fight, but if the Sea Gladiator keeps him busy, then I can come in and 2v1 the guy. And I don't like doing this. I don't like dragging people down into teammates to 2v1 them. I don't like that kind of playstyle, but with this thing, quite frankly, you simply have to do it. I-15 starts a turn fight, and he's going to be killing the Sea Gladiator if I leave him alone too much. So I go under him yet again, going to keep my speed. I'm still going 500. If he does a 180 here, tries to shoot at me, I won't be in his guns for very long, and the Sea Gladiator will be able to recommit on him. And there we go. Sea Gladiator goes for him. He breaks off, and now I'm going to be putting all my speed into altitude, and you can tell that the retention for a 2.0 plane isn't all too bad. We do a horizontal turn here to keep a little bit more of our altitude. And you can say that, well, I kind of let that Gladiator to die, I used him as bait, and you're partially right. But you have to look at the circumstances here. I only have 2 minutes of fuel left, and the second that I-15 kills me, because I run out of fuel, I get out of 1v1, doesn't matter why, he gets killed too. So right now, what we did was make sure that we can actually get the win. So I'm sorry for killing you, but at least you won the game. I-15 trying to pitch up for me, and again, when you have the altitude advantage, you can completely fight these guys just fine, because they don't have the engine power nor the retention to really pitch up for you. If that was the 2.0 Chaika, however, you're going to have a very bad time, and you are likely going to get slammed. Set him on fire, he dies, and I want to get back to my base now, because I only have 1.5 minutes of fuel left, and I will make the base. The problem is, the lag tree just took off, and I have, well, 90 seconds left, and he's going to be catching me. So I can do two things here. I can try to get back to the base by rolling around, trying to dodge him for, well, like 15 kilometers. Very likely that I'm going to not win that. So I'm just going to try to get as close to the base as I can. I'm going to be laying off the weapon in a second, but I'm noticing that he's actually catching me quite rapidly. So what I instead do is I lay off the web, I go into a dive to not compress too much, to not use the most amount of fuel. And I'm going to be trying to make the lag tree, well, commit and crash, because the lag tree is a very, well, it's the same kind of boat as this thing really. It compresses really badly at higher speeds. Above 600 kilometers an hour, you literally go to 2% elevator input. So I think, let's force the dogfight here. I'm very light, he is quite heavy on fuel still, but instead this guy just wants to run away. I shoot a few rounds off, shoot too much to the left. Lead actually looked kinda alright, but because he starts playing like this, it basically means that I lost my only opportunity to kill him here. Now, I turn back to the base, see if I can make it, because he broke off quite far. Take a quick look here, level 24. Is he really gonna be doing anything? I do not have the speed here to dodge him. I'm only going 300, this plane isn't very fast on the deck, and I only have 15 seconds of fuel left. So I can do two things. I can accept my fate, or simply we are going to turn around. And we are going to make sure that at least he dies before he gets to my bomber, because he's going to be my last friendly. Dodge the rounds a few times, and then we start spraying. I don't have the speed to dodge, so I'm not going to be doing so. Lag tree eats a full volley of rounds into the nose. I run out of fuel, and that's going to be game. A few games later, 2 games later actually to be exact, and this game we're going to be fighting mostly MiG-3s, and the MiG-3s is essentially you, but better. You do turn a little bit, ever so slightly better, I believe, I'm not actually sure. It feels that way anyway, at least at lower speed. He manages to hit a few MGs in. I do not have the turn rate to actually outturn these guys. But now I'm a lot slower than him. So I get directly on a 6. He overshoots. And he tries to outlook me. And that's a bad idea. Because the MiG-3, while it's a better plane than this thing, at these speeds, when I can use my flaps, when I'm actually kind of hanging from the air, this thing actually becomes quite alright, as I said earlier. Problem again is trying to get to these speeds and actually making it work and not getting killed by someone else, because if you get someone jumping you, very likely that you are going to die. He's basically stalling out at this point. We zoom in, we shoot a few rounds at him, we set him on fire. I don't want him to put it out, so we are going to shoot a few more rounds at him, and there he goes. Pilot snipe. Now we turn around because we have two MiG-3s coming in. One of them is quite a bit further away, however, so this is kind of annoying because I want to turn fight them both at once, which is completely viable in this thing. The problem is they're spaced out by 1.5 kilometers, which makes it so that you can't really do that, because by the time I completed half my turn, the other MiG-3 will be on me. So the first thing I want to do is drag them a little bit closer to each other. So I'm going to be diving to one side, making one go straight for me and the other one come straight at me from a little bit of a longer range. And now the distance is about 700 meters, which is a lot more doable. So we start the turn fight. MiG-3 number 1 seems to be not wanting to take it. I just stick on him for a very short amount of time here, so he runs away, he's pushed off, and now it's a 1v1. I do need to reverse this guy, and I'm going to be in his guns for a very short amount of time. He doesn't get the shot, and we are going to force another dogfight. Gonna be pulling up into him here. Keep tabs on the other MiG-3. I do not want him to turn around and kill me as I'm mid-stall fight here, because I'm a very easy target right about now. The MiG-3 goes straight. I'm going to be cutting him off here, and I will be able to shoot him down for quite a while here. I'm going to be catching him in the long run as well, because he simply does not have the ability to dive away from me here. We set him on fire. We kill his pilot with the fire this time, and here comes another MiG-3. He's above us, or we are above him. We are going to be stalling him out, and we are going to do the exact same thing as we did to the Chaikas and stuff, or the I-15s, I'm sorry. But this guy doesn't actually have the turn rate to keep up with that. And he starts, of course, diving straight for his airfield. And this is, of course, completely balanced, because people that use the forum think that AA is a completely fair mechanic, and the second you messed up a dogfight, you should be able to get a jail out of free card. Well, I don't agree with that, so back to the hangar you go. And that's all I have for you today. It's a very boring plane, it's a very annoying plane to fly. You can make it work, but that's only because people at 2.0 don't really know what they're doing. Not going to be showing you the rewards, because I have a test drive, I don't have premium, and I'm not researching anything, so you get about 20% of the rewards, which is not very representative. And we are going to win the game, because two of those guys, the I-15 on the left and on the right, are going to die to midfield AA, and the MiG-3 is going to compress into the ground. And the V11 or whatever it is behind me is going to leave the match. There you have it. Hope it was helpful, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next week.